Hey Greg. Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, I'm concentrating.
Let's talk about TED Talks.
So in recent events, we're expected to stay at home, so I thought if we're going to be spending a lot of time at home and watching stuff, I might as well suggest my favorite TED Talks for you guys to watch because they all have resonated with me in some way, and I always mention them in my videos, so I thought might as well make a list because you guys have time. So without further ado, let's begin. So I know I've already talked about Jia Zhang's TED Talk, which is called What I've Learned from 100 Days of Rejection, and I literally made a video about it under my fears video, which I will put somewhere here. And yeah, have a look. I'm not going to include in this list because I've already talked about it, but it is one of my favorites. So on to my first TED Talk that I'd like to recommend to you guys. It is called Do Schools Kill Creativity? That's what it's called, and it's by Sir Ken Robinson. I really love it because, first of all, he's very funny. I can show some snippets of his humor.
I find this very interesting. If you're at a dinner party and you say you work in education, actually you're not often at dinner parties, frankly. Creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. Thank you. That was it, by the way. Thank you very much. So, 15 minutes left.
It's just that he has such incredible points about the problems of the education system, about creativity, about how we have a hierarchy of subjects, like he explains here.
At the top are mathematics and languages, then the humanities, and the bottom are the arts, everywhere on earth. And in pretty much every system too, there's a hierarchy within the arts. Art and music are normally given a higher status in schools than drama and dance. There isn't an education system on the planet that teaches dance every day to children the way we teach them mathematics. Why? Why not?
And this has been a topic that I am so passionate about. I literally made a video about it before I even watched this TED Talk. I can't remember the name of it anymore, but I'll put it somewhere here. By the way, this TED Talk was done in 2006, and it's apparently the most watched TED Talk of all time. And it's just crazy for me because he had all of these ideas way back when, and they still apply so much in the current day. I still see problems with it. I've experienced it. I know you guys have too. So here are some other snippets of the video that I really think highlight what he talks about.
I believe this passionately that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. Or rather, we get educated out of it. I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. If you're not prepared to be wrong. And by the time they get to be adults, most kids have lost that capacity.
So please watch it. It's so informative. It really makes you reflect about your own education. I cannot highly recommend it enough. The second TED Talk I'd like to recommend to you guys today is one by Lavi Ajayi called How to Get Uncomfortable. And it is called Get Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable. I was so absorbed throughout the whole, I think 18 minutes or so, because she's so funny, and you will see this as a trend. I think all of the ones I recommended today have some form of humor in them. She's so good at capturing a crowd, but most importantly, she has such an important message, which is to be able to say something if you really feel the need for it, even if it's scary, and even if you think people will judge you. She talks about dominoes and the domino effect, for example.
For a line of dominoes to fall, one has to fall first. And that domino that falls, we're hoping that, okay, the next person that sees this is inspired to be a domino. Being the domino for me looks like speaking up and doing the things that are really difficult especially when they're needed, with the hope that others will follow suit. We're not fearless. We're not unafraid of the consequences or the sacrifices that we have to make by speaking truth to power. What happens is we feel like we have to, because there are too few people in the world willing to be the domino, too few people willing to take that fall.
She explains the importance of speaking up, which is something that I resonate with a lot. So here are some other snippets of the video that I think you would enjoy and that just really capture what the TED Talk is about.
And I feel like every day that I'm speaking truth against institutions and people who are bigger than me and just forces that are more powerful than me, I feel like I'm falling out of that plane. But I realize comfort is overrated, because being quiet is comfortable. Keeping things the way they've been is comfortable. And all comfort has done is maintain the status quo. So we've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable by speaking these hard truths when they're necessary. Being yourself can be a revolutionary act. And in a world that wants us to whisper, I choose to yell. When it's time to say these hard things, I ask myself 3 things. 1, did you mean it? 2, can you defend it? 3, did you say it with love? If the answer is yes to all 3, I say it and let the chips fall.
The third one that I'd like to recommend, and I should probably mention that none of these are in order. Like, the first one is not my favorite and the last one is not my least favorite. Wait, whatever, they're not in order at all. The third one I'd like to talk about is one by Sarah Knight, and it is called The Magic of Not Giving a Fuck. And I am going to swear, if you don't like that, okay, but she talks about, and is very similar to the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which I haven't actually read, but I assume will have the same messages. But anyway, to summarize, her video is about mental decluttering. So not giving a fuck about things you actually don't give a fuck about, and allocating what she calls your fucks as time, energy, and money towards things that you actually do appreciate and make you fulfilled. So here's what she means using Game of Thrones as an example.
So when I say I don't give a fuck about Game of Thrones, I mean I don't care about Game of Thrones, so I don't spend time watching it. I don't spend energy wondering where the next season is going, and I don't spend my money on the books or merchandise or anything Westeros related. Game of Thrones does not get any of my fucks.
So she explains how to give no fucks in an honest and polite way, and how to not be an asshole when you do it.
And I'm telling you, if you respond in a timely fashion, no thanks, can't make it to that dinner party, you've done nothing wrong. You were honest, you were polite, and you don't have to be sorry about it.
And it really speaks to me because I am a recovering people pleaser, and I find it really hard to say no to things because either I don't want to hurt the person's feelings, or I'm scared of how they think of me if I say no. So please give this a watch. I'll include some snippets here.
Why would you spend your fuck bucks, or your actual bucks, on this party? You do it because you feel obligated and guilty. You are psyching yourself out of a perfectly fine response, no, before you even try it. Most people just don't think this stuff through. They say yes to things like this right away and then wind up wasting time, energy, and money on an annoying, unenjoyable night out, and then worrying that you'll be seen as an asshole for bailing at the last minute. And honestly, if you do bail at the last minute, having never intended to go in the first place, then you are an asshole.
The fourth one is by Ben Chai, and it's called How to Be Socially Magnetic. And I found this one recently, so I think it's one of the most recent ones on this list. And he talks about his glow up of having been bullied and treated poorly as a kid to growing his self-worth and self-confidence to who he is today.
I was probably with the 30% who didn't want to live longer, who didn't care about people. In fact, I would have been afraid of people. To make it worse, I was trying to shorten my life by doing things that would make me not be here anymore. Because that was my growing up days.
And overall, this TED Talk really moved me. He speaks in such an authentic and vulnerable way that it's just, for me, it was impossible not to finish the whole talk. So yeah, especially the first bit with the mirror and the last bit about what am I talking about? About distancing yourself away from people who don't lift you up. All of these are incredibly important and we don't talk about them enough. So please watch it.
And you need to tell that person in the mirror that you love them. Yeah, go look at them. Hey, Ben, I love you. You're fantastic. You're so wonderful. I love the way your eyes slant. That's so amazing. Nobody else's eyes slant like that. That mole in the middle of your nose, that's a beauty mole. I love it. Because there are some people who, for whatever reason, either they don't like you and they're just tolerating you. Who wants to be tolerated? I mean, look, you've just looked in the mirror and you've seen that wonderful person. Why would that person want to be tolerated?
And lastly, the final TED Talk that I want to recommend today is one that is so important for developing girls, but also guys. It applies to everyone, but it's called Girl Up, How to Live an Extraordinary Life by Courtney Farrell. So her focus is on girls from 17 to 24, but I don't think that should exclude guys or any girls who are outside of that age range for sure. She speaks in such an authentic, genuine and charismatic way that, I don't know, I was so drawn to this talk, especially her message about dealing with perfection, about societal expectation of perfection.
Perfection is not a human quality. And a lot of girls and a lot of women pretend like it is. It is not. Let go of it. Don't even aspire to it. Just be good enough.
About developing your self-worth.
You have to be authentically you. I don't care if everyone dresses up. If that's not your thing, don't do it. And if it is, do it, right? We always talk about what we don't like about our body. When I wake up in the morning, I look at myself in the mirror, and I have this one thing I love about myself, and it's the sparkle in my eye, and it's always there no matter what. And I say, hello, beautiful. I say that because I am. Right? And I have to tell myself that because the world is out to try and tell me that it's not true.
She just puts it in such a great way that I wish I saw this when I was growing up in high school. I actually think that it should be mandatory for girls to watch it, especially because there are so many important messages. And I mean, I'm having trouble speaking because I'm just so passionate about this one, that it's doing you an injustice if you don't watch it. And that sounds really severe in a way, but I think it's true. I think you'll learn something from it. I'll include snippets that have really stuck with me, yeah, that you would appreciate as well, I hope.
She looks like she's got it all pulled together, but she doesn't. She doesn't. She's a mess. It rhymes with Tess, and she needs you. The other thing is that you have to take other women along with you. You cannot see them as your rival. They are not your rival. You take them along with you.
So thank you so much for sticking around to the end. These are all the TED Talks that have really resonated with me, especially in that certain point of time in my life when I watched them. If you have any suggestions, please recommend them. Please comment below because I am always ready to watch more TED Talks and find out more that I will then, regurgitate and make videos about them in the future. So thank you for sticking around. I will see you next time. Bye!